Hi everyone, welcome to another Fallout 76 Dev Dive. This time we're going to be taking a closer look at Steel Dawn quests coming with our patch in December. I'm Nate Valenta with the community team, and I'm here with some of the designers from the Fallout 76 team, Mark and Brianna. How are you both doing today?
Doing great. Excited to finally get to talk about this stuff. I think we've got some fantastic content lined up along with other features in this update that's coming out in December. And I'm just really stoked to be talking about it now.
Brianna, how are you doing?
I'm doing really well. I'm looking forward to sharing the Steel Dawn content with the community and seeing what kinds of choices people make as they adventure with the Brotherhood.
How about you guys tell us a little bit more about what you do on the Fallout 76 team and what you've done specifically with some of the Steel Dawn quests?
Well, I'm the design director on Fallout 76, so that means I oversee all aspects of design, everything that we're putting into the game. I did contribute some to the high-level story arc. However, the majority of the work was done by our outstanding quest design team led by Brianna.
I'm the lead quest designer on Fallout 76, and I help the team plan our story, come up with our characters, and implement our quests.
Like I mentioned before, the Steel Dawn quests are coming in December, and that's going to be a free update for Fallout 76, as all of our updates are and will be. How much quest content is this going to include? How much of the story for the Brotherhood of Steel are we going to see?
Yeah, so we have a completely dedicated quest line to the Brotherhood of Steel. It's the first half of an overarching story that will complete next year. So this is effectively Act 1 of a 2-act play. When you compare it to our previous, update expansion of Wastelanders, this is not going to have the amount of content that Wastelanders had. However, we feel really good about the quality of the content. It's a lot of fun. I would compare it to one of the quest lines for the factions in Wastelanders is kind of the comparable amount of content we have here. But again, this is just the first half, and we're going to expand on it next year.
As many of you at home watching know, we released a recruitment trailer for the Steel Dawn update last week on Friday, October 23rd. So if you haven't checked that out, please go give it a watch. For you, Mark and Brianna, why are we looking to the Brotherhood of Steel now as opposed to another faction or maybe an existing faction in the game?
Well, I think a lot of it boils down to when you think about Fallout, what's the first faction that comes to mind? And for a lot of people, that is the Brotherhood of Steel.
It is for me, yeah.
Yeah, and so, we had some great content that was Brotherhood of Steel related when the game launched, the whole story arc with Taggarty's Thunder. It's sort of the quintessential faction that everybody thinks about with Fallout, and we want to do more there.
The other thing that trailer didn't really have much on, it didn't touch on, is the characters. Who are some of the folks we're going to meet as we play through the Steel Dawn questline?
So in the artwork, you saw Paladin Romani, who's going to be the leader of the expeditionary group on their way to Appalachia, and her second-in-command, Knight Shin. Accompanying them is also Scribe Valdez, who's going to catalog and research the technology that they run into as they journey through Appalachia. Along the way, they've also met some initiates that they recruited, and they're going to meet up with Russell Dorsey, who you might know from our Fortifying Atlas event earlier this summer.
So it sounds like, this isn't a big Brotherhood army coming in to save the day. It sounds like a smaller group. Would you say that's right?
That's right. It was a small group of 5 Brotherhood officers who left California. Not all of them made it to Appalachia, but they have a very specific mission in mind, and they want to establish themselves and a new chapter in Appalachia.
Are you able to tell me a little bit more about that mission? Because I think one of the things we've been seeing a lot of, in the community is speculation about, hey, are the Brotherhood going to come in here and be good guys? Are they going to be enemies? Like, what should we expect from them?
But the Brotherhood of Steel is a group that people have always had a variety of different reactions to, and that's the same for people of Appalachia. Some of the people that the Brotherhood will come into contact with will find them potential allies. Some will want to see them as enemies, and yet others aren't quite sure what to make of them.
We know that the Brotherhood of Steel is coming here looking to preserve some sort of technology. Is there anything more you can say about that?
The Brotherhood of Steel has a mission to check out the remains of the Atlas Observatory, which they're going to turn into their base, which was home to a top-secret government project before the war, and there's more there that you're going to help them discover in the course of the quests.
What kind of technology is the Brotherhood of Steel bringing that we as players will be able to get our hands on?
Well, you're definitely going to get your hands on some good tech. We've got several new weapons, a full suit of armor, as well as some cool stuff for your camp lined up as part of the quest rewards for this first act. The weapon that I'm super excited about is the Hellstorm Launcher. It's got a full suite of mods. You can even mod it for different types of elemental damage. It really stands apart from other missile launchers in our game. It's a lot of fun to shoot. I'll leave it at that. And on top of that, like if you want to build your camp to be a Brotherhood of Steel base, the centerpiece that you're going to want is the new awesome round table that you're going to get after completing the first quest. We also have a great new melee weapon. It's the plasma cutter. Our melee players are really going to appreciate having this new weapon in the game. It looks cool. It plays well. A new pistol that's going to be rewarded as part of daily ops. So not just quest content, but other ways to get some of these cool new items too.
Awesome. Yeah, I know on the PTS, some folks have been really enjoying the plasma cutter in particular, and how you can mod it and things like that. So really looking forward to those. So while we're heading through some of these quests, I know something we like to do is, because we have such a big game and so many great places to go and see, we like to revisit a lot of those locations and redress them for the new quests. Are there any places we revisited or any new locations that the Steel Dawn questline is going to take us to?
Yeah, we're definitely doing a bit of both. We're going to revisit old locations, and we've got some new ones lined up too. One that pops up in my head that is very memorable and creepy, and you're going to want to know a lot more about, is the Enclave Research Facility. They were having to deal with a lot of the things that were happening in the world above them, just like everybody else in the Wasteland, and they're trying to figure things out. You're going to see some really rare scorched creatures. For example, there is a scorched Mothman that you're going to encounter along your way, and that is one of the most rare spawns in the game right now. So this is a great way for you to see what a scorched Mothman looks like for all you cultists out there.
Awesome. That is great news for the Cult of the Mothman. Brianna, did you have any favorite locations or any new locations that stood out to you?
One of the great things about working with the level design team is that we get to visit older locations, see them updated for the story, and to work with them to create new locations. So you'll be visiting some newer sub-areas in Foundation and in the Crater, and you'll have a chance to see a treehouse village that's had a new group of people move into it and get a chance to know them and see what kind of community they are.
So who are we chatting with here? Who's Jenny? What can you tell us about her?
Jenny's the matriarch of the retreat, and she and her people have settled here for their own safety and to set themselves up as traders. What you'll find, talking to people at the retreat is that they're very close-knit, they're very supportive of each other, and they really do function like a family.
Let's talk about enemies for a second. Does the Steel Dawn questline introduce any new enemies or major antagonists that we can look forward to meeting?
So, of course, when the Brotherhood arrives in Appalachia, they're not going to be welcomed by everybody there. You're going to come into conflict with a group of Blood Eagles who are led by a ruthless, intelligent woman named Dagger, and you're going to find yourself involved in one of the conflicts that she's involved in. And as you go along, you're going to learn more about the history of this group of the Brotherhood and some conflicts that they have within as well.
Earlier, you mentioned that we're going to a new Enclave-themed location. How are factions playing a role in Steel Dawn other than Brotherhood of Steel?
One of the things about the Brotherhood moving into Appalachia is going to be that the existing groups are curious about who you are and what you want. So if you sided with either the Settlers or the Raiders in the Wastelanders questline, you'll be able to talk a little bit from that experience and provide that faction's point of view. There are a couple of quests where you're going to be dealing with them directly, and so you'll have an opportunity to bring in some of the past things that you've done as a player.
So we've talked a lot about, the new quests, some of the new locations, weapons, armor, all coming with the Steel Dawn update. We've covered shelters pretty extensively. What else is coming with this update that players can look forward to?
So as part of Steel Dawn, we're adding 2 new allies that you can add to your camp. They're what the team calls light allies. They're characters that you can meet and talk with about their own stories and their experiences in the Wasteland. One of them is Solomon Hardy, who's a Brotherhood of Steel member and a medic, and the other is Yasmin Chowdhury, who is a chef. And in addition to hanging at your camp and talking with you, you'll be able to ask Solomon to heal your wounds, rads, or diseases. and Yasmin will cook a meal for you once a day when you're hungry. These 2 new allies are part of our Season 3 rewards, so you'll unlock them as you progress through the scoreboard.
We've definitely never had anything as extensive as allies on that scoreboard, so that's going to be pretty exciting. So I know the team has spent a lot of time developing the Steel Dawn questline. It's been your lives at work for a little while here. What are some interesting tidbits from the development of Steel Dawn that you guys would like to share with the people at home?
We first started talking about the early, the overarching story even last year. So we've been thinking about this and working on it for quite some time, and it's gone through tremendous iteration. I'm just thinking, like, we write entire backstories. Like we have pages that describe the backstories of our characters and who they are and where they come from. And for example, Daniel Shen is the son of a principal, and he's from the West Coast, and he grew up the only son of a principal in a very structured home, and when you meet Daniel in the game, you'll see that. So there's just a lot of those kinds of things, that there's so much more detail that we have to think about in order just to capture who these people are and make sure we're consistent with who they are and how they're portrayed and the dialogue choices that you're going to have with them.
Brianna, how about you? Do you have any exciting or fun stories from development on Steel Dawn or since you've joined the team?
Sure. So one of my favorite things was getting to know who the characters are that we created. Like Mark said, we have deep backstories for each of these people, but it's not just the Brotherhood characters. We've got a group of people you're going to meet in the retreat who have individual and a group backstory of their own. And they've got a strong, charismatic leader who rescued people, brought them together, and helped them make their way through the wasteland. In another quest, you're going to meet a family who, in the middle of fighting off a ghoul attack, has sibling rivalry, and they have some of the same moments that you might have in your own family growing up. It's just a tremendous variety of people that populate the wasteland, and we hope that in working with the Brotherhood and in traveling through it, that we've done justice to them in the process of bringing them to life.
Elaborating a little bit on that, we tend to approach things as a writer's room where we get together as a group and discuss the characters and the plot lines together, and we get a lot of input and feedback. But at the end of the day, each character is owned by a particular quest designer, so we get that consistency of the character, and that also helps shape the characters and the content.
That's so awesome. I remember before we transitioned to working remotely here, there would be design meetings that would pour out of a conference room as I'm waiting to go into one, and just wanting to be a fly on the wall for some of those conversations you all are having while you work on those storylines and characters and things like that. I think that would be really cool. Well, that just about does it for our Steel Dawn Dev Dive. Mark, Brianna, I wanted to say thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedules to walk us through some of the quests and give us little details and tidbits from development. Really appreciate you guys coming on.
Not a problem at all. I really enjoy getting to do these. I'm excited to finally get to talk about this stuff and show off our hard work. I think we've got a really cool quest line coming with Steel Dawn. And again, this is the first part. So we have a whole nother act coming next year. On top of that, we have to remember Shelters is also coming out in this update. So it's a really cool update, and really looking forward to getting it out there.
Thank you for the chance to let us share some of what we've been working on with Steel Dawn, and we look forward to seeing you in the Wasteland.
To those of you at home, thank you so much for tuning in to our Steel Dawn Dev Dive. We can't wait to get this questline into your hands with our Steel Dawn update in December. Like Mark mentioned, that's also going to include Shelters and a bunch of other improvements and bug fixes for Fallout 76, so look forward to that. Be sure to keep an eye on Fallout.com over the coming weeks for more information about the patch. It will be free to download and play, as all of our updates are. And if you own a copy of Fallout 76 on PC through Bethesda.net, you can jump into the public test server right now to try out the Steel Dawn questline, Shelters, and everything else that's coming with our Steel Dawn update. Until next time, we'll see you in Appalachia.